Good evening, everyone. Today we're talking about goal setting, and this is week 6 of a 12-part series all about goals. If you were on my call this morning, you may hear some very similar material. We are talking about your ideal week. The difference between this morning's call and our call right now is this tends to be a smaller group, and we also have the ability to have you ask questions. I do try to keep it to a small meeting because I want to make sure that each meeting is, once it's recorded, you can do whatever you like with it, but with a smaller format, you're able to actually ask questions about any of the material. So I'm going to get started and share my screen with you. Okay. Okay. So I always try to start by introducing myself if you haven't had a chance to really meet me. I know I think I've met all of you. Jill, I'm not sure if we've met in the recent past, but I'm very excited to be back in the South Jersey again later on in the summer. I think I was supposed to be there last week, and there was some kind of we had to reschedule. So I'll be back in South Jersey, I think, later on in the year, later on in this month, actually, and be able to talk with all of you. We're talking tonight about your ideal week. And this is not, this is a real concept, and it is something that's taken from a book. And if you were on Nick's call just now, you probably heard me talking about this book, and it's something that I really recommend. So the book is called Living Forward, A Proven Plan to Stop Drifting and Get the Life You Want. So what I loved about this book, and I actually have it here with me on my trip, and if you were listening to Nick's call just now, you know that I'm down in Delaware for some sporting events with my son. And it has several different things in it. One of which is that idea that none of us are getting any younger, and that there's going to come a time, sometime in the future, where we are going to reach a point where we say, maybe I've done everything that I could possibly have done. Or we're going to say, I wish I woulda, coulda, shoulda. And no one wants to be in that second period of their life, that they're looking back. Maybe they don't have the energy or the resources that they thought they were going to have, and now they may actually have some regrets. And we know, I'm sure all of you know, someone who has lived, maybe outlived their money or outlived their time and had hoped to do something with their lives, and now they're kind of looking back and thinking, did I get everything done that I was supposed to? I want to believe that the time that we're given here on earth is a gift, and that we're meant to use it wisely. And just like the gift of money, our lives are a gift of time. And we can only use a certain amount. What we get, we have to really just use wisely. So this is about living on purpose according to a plan that you've set, instead of living by accident and reacting to the demands of others. Now, it can be really hard when we have small kids at home. We are basically beholden to whatever those demands are. But even within those constructs, I'm going to suggest to you that there is a way for us to live meaningful lives, and to also live conscientiously, to carve out those moments of time where we do begin to make progress in the areas that maybe we haven't had the time or made the time for before. And in the car driving down here, I was actually having the conversation with my son about living mindfully, and also about the ideal week. And even if you're a high school student, there are ways that you can carve out time to do the things that you want, so that you can get to the next step. So it's a lot easier, obviously, to accomplish what matters most when you're proactive and begin with the end in mind. So my ideal week, this is a week I would live if I could control 100% of what happens. It's not it's what I'll call a dream week, but it's a living dream, in that for the most part, I can continue to go back to this document and revise it until it really works for me. It's devised in a simple grid, and each day has a theme. And in addition, each day is segmented according to a specific focus area. So you're going to begin, again, like I said, with the end in mind. You want to spend your time wisely, because you don't get a refund. And as I mentioned earlier, this is similar to a financial budget, except you're going to spend your time rather than your money, and you're going to spend it on paper first. So this is actually a document. So in the author of the book is a gentleman named Michael Hyatt, and Michael is he ran a multi-million-dollar company for many years, and now he runs a motivational and goal-setting company. And what I've loved, I think he's written something like 6 or 8 books. I've read maybe 2 or 3 of them, and each one sort of hammers home that point of, if we can get ourselves organized and begin to look at the blocks of time that we're given on this earth, we can begin to really make a difference. So if you can look along the top gray edge, you can see he has some things there that say backstage, front stage, and off stage. And I want you to imagine in a theater, if you're thinking about backstage, you're thinking about the activities that go on behind the curtain, things like the lighting people or the sound people, that sound technicians, or perhaps the people that are in charge of the props, or are putting up the scenery. They're not doing anything in front of the curtain, but they are working busily and mightily to make sure that everything goes smoothly. The front stage are the actors. That's the money-making portion, right? They're going to be in front of the audience. They're going to be performing. These are the actions that I like to think of. This is where you get paid. Your front stage actions are where you get paid. And then your off stage. Your off stage is when the lights have gone down and the curtain is drawn and everyone's left the theater. What is it that you're free to do? On the far left-hand side, I have 3 items, or he has 3 items. One is called Rejuvenation, the middle is Work, and the top one is Self. I went from the bottom up. The work items are really the meat of the matter. This is where you're contacting the people that you want to enroll. You're setting up meetings. These are your money-making activities. Your morning ritual can vary from person to person. I'm going to suggest to you that if you have a morning ritual, then you actually write it down and develop a list of how long each thing takes. So in my morning ritual, I do things like I take my supplements, I drink a certain amount of water, I maybe go to the gym, or I have prayer rituals. All of those things can be included in that morning block. Now I'm looking at, this is Michael Hyatt's ideal week, and you'll notice that his morning ritual is approximately, looks like it's almost 3 hours long, if not longer. And I'm going to suggest to you that that's because he's at the stage of his life that he is. All his children are grown. He doesn't have any little ones at home anymore. And now he's able to take a large block of time in the morning and dedicate it to himself. Now, on other pages of his journal, he talks about what he does in his morning ritual. But I know that those include things like reading the Bible or prayer or meditation. They also include exercise. So make your morning ritual as long or short as you need it to be. If you're a mom with small children at home and it's 30 minutes, 30 minutes is all you have. But if you're at a stage in your life where you don't have people that depending on you, you could easily take an hour, and maybe by getting up a little bit earlier, but making that morning time work for you. On the left-hand side, and you can also see that this calendar is divided a little bit differently. It's what I would call a European or an Asian calendar, so that the first day of the week is Monday. And on American calendars, we usually start with Sunday, but I'm going to suggest to you that Saturday and Sunday should be lumped together so that they begin to feel like a large block of time that you can use to your best advantage. But I'm going to start with the work week. If I look at Monday, he has some different sort of categories. He has his backstage activities, and on Monday those include things like working with his team or doing any sorts of discovery or out of office meetings. Then he moves to Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, or at least Tuesday and Wednesday, excuse me, and he's doing front stage activities. This could be anything from meeting with clients to developing something. These are your money makers, folks. Then when you look at Thursday, he's doing backstage activities. This could be your prep work. This is maybe when you get back to your office and you're sending out a package for someone who's already enrolled, a welcome pack, or maybe you're contacting someone on your team to tell them about the BOGO. Although a BOGO, if you're talking about a BOGO, that might go in a front stage activity also. And then finally, he takes Friday for visioneering. Where is he going? Where should he be spending his time in the future? He looks like Saturday and Sunday Sunday, he's a lot of free time, and Sunday he uses for things like church, his morning ritual, of course, time with his parents, and then additional free time. And you can see all along the bottom, he has family dinners, free time, date night, probably with his wife. I know he's married for many, many years. But that idea that we begin to block off our time and use it wisely. Okay, so on my ideal week, and I'm going to show you that in a minute, my ideal week is not so much broken up into front stage, backstage, and off stage. Mine is more geared towards what I'm going to call the 50s housewife approach. So in the 50s, if you were a housewife, Monday perhaps was washing clothes, Tuesday was ironing clothes, Wednesday was shopping and going to the market, gathering all your food. Thursday might be cooking, and Friday was cleaning the house, or any permutation of those 5 activities. And you did them this way almost every single week. And it made sense for you and your family, depending on how big your family was, where your husband worked, what other obligations that you had. And this is kind of the way I break up my week. So my week is devoted is broken up as follows. Monday is devoted to the team, one-on-one meetings, and a staff meeting at lunch. When I talk about a staff meeting, it can be anybody, somebody who's doing maybe helping me with my website, or maybe one of my assistants. I'm sitting down with people, and I'll do mentoring calls on Monday, and I usually do them back to back to back. Today, I actually had 2 Zoom classes, and I was on Nick's call earlier for just sort of a question and answer, but that's really about the team. Tuesday and Wednesdays are devoted to travel and extended meetings, like monthly business reviews. So these are the days when I'm getting in my car and I'm driving. I could be driving as far south as Atlantic City, or maybe as far north as, I don't know wherever it is that I have to go. But these are the days that I'm basically taking and chunking and trying to do extended meeting people where they are. So I might say to someone on the team who lives in South Jersey, hey, are you available on Tuesday? I'd like to come down. Can you get some people together and let's hold a meeting? Thursday is an ad hoc day. It's where I try to push external requests for meetings. So someone who I don't usually meet with, someone who's maybe further down in my team, I might go to visit a business. If somebody says, hey, I have a hair salon, or I have a spa, I'd like you to come in and talk to me about what kinds of products I can use, where I can position the products. So external requests for meetings, or maybe who's someone who comes to me with a totally new business request. That would be on Thursdays. Friday is always spent on planning and long-term thinking. Usually on Friday, I sit down and I do things like planning my Instagram posts, or maybe planning my week that's coming up. Saturday is for personal chores and activities. And that can be a little bit more flexible, but for the most part, that's what it is. And Sunday is for church, rest, and planning the next week. My focus areas, just like Michael's, I list on the left-hand column. So I take my early morning hours for self, reading, praying, working out, and taking my supplements. In the middle of the day, I devote it to work. I actually arrive at my office at about 8:30, and my office is in my house, folks, but I'm down at my office ready to work by 8:30, and I leave promptly at 6 p.m. I already have a sense that if I work from 8:30 to 6, that I'm getting the most done because I focus within those hours. And otherwise, you have what's called Parkinson's law, that work expands to the time allotted for it. And this is very common as entrepreneurs. You could basically be working 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And what happens? You get burned out. The end of my day is reserved for family and reading, because I currently have my 17-year-old son, my 89-year-old mother, my husband and I are at home, but we try to eat together at dinner almost every night, taking time to connect and catch up. And then I do reading at the end of the day. Sometimes it's reading only for pleasure. I do run a book club in my house once a month, but it may be some business reading if that's what I prefer. I try not to read anything that's either too scary or too exciting, because then I get riled up and can't go to sleep. I also do activities that contribute to my goals and priorities during my peak working hours. So for me, I'm a morning person. I like to get up early and do things early. Now, on Saturdays and Sundays, I very frequently get up early and will read, and I'll do some business reading. I can usually get in 2 hours each of those mornings before I have to go on to do other things. The other thing is the 3 types of activities, whether it's self, work, or rejuvenation, all are super important, because you want to think that self-leadership precedes team leadership. If you are not leading yourself, or do not have self-mastery, it will be very difficult for you to lead a team. I also work as, in that idea of self-leadership. I'm only going to be as good, or my team is only going to be good as I am. And so I need to work things out spiritually, intellectually, maybe physically. And right now I have the luxury of spending almost an hour each morning. But when my kids were really little, as I mentioned before, I was lucky to get about 30 minutes. Now, this is my book, and this is a live working document. And I work with an erasable pen. And you can see what I put along the side. I put rejuvenation, work, and self. And I actually copied the quote there: self-leadership precedes team leadership. I'm looking at the upper left. And I know some of my handwriting is a little small, but the way I break off my week is, as you can see, starting from Monday going through Saturday and Sunday. Monday is for people. Tuesday is for presentations, so writing, editing, revising any sort of information. Wednesday is for presentations, keynotes, speeches, webinars, workshops. Thursday is for presentations, videos, recordings, and things like that. And then Friday is for planning for major projects, for future projects. And then Saturday and Sunday are kind of my off the grid or off stage time. And you can see there are those two big blocks at the top of Saturday and Sunday for reading. You go back to Monday, you can see how my schedule is broken down. This Singapore Zoom that I've been doing for 6 years is top of the list. Then mentoring calls. You can see the main body of the day, hours and hours, is for mentoring calls. Sometimes run some errands at the end of the day on Mondays. And then a family dinner. And you can see the goal setting Zoom. There it is, between 8 and 9, or 8:30 and 9. That's what we're doing right now. I am a Catholic. I try to get to Mass every morning. If I don't get to Mass, I try to read the readings from Mass every day. And you can see all along the top, Monday through Friday. And again, on Sunday, I have time in there for Mass. On Tuesday and Wednesday, I have my front stage activities. These are my money makers, right? And then on Thursday, you can see I actually cook on Thursdays and do meal prep, because I find if I do it on Thursday, my weekend runs more smoothly. So sometimes the errands on Monday are to run and go get some vegetables or fruits or whatever. But if it's gotten to Thursday and it's time to cook and I still don't have the ingredients, I might actually go Thursday morning and run out to a local grocery store and get a couple of things. Thursday afternoon, I'm again meeting with team or with clients. Thursday afternoons, Thursday evenings, I try to reserve for my husband. His work schedule has shifted a little bit lately, and so that date night may actually become a date lunch. And I'm not sure what day we're going to do that, but I may be actually moving that, in the near future. On Friday, I meet with friends or family in the evening, but during the day, I'm using Michael Hyatt's word, visioneering, or planning for the next week. Saturday I have completely open as free time, but it's never really free. There's usually a million things I have to do, but that's the time when I have to be in service to my family, making sure that they're prepared, filling out forms, anything that's necessary to get done. And then Friday on Sunday is kind of a slower day, if you will. But I'm also getting ready for my calls and Zooms and so on that are going to go on Monday. You want to begin and end your workday with a ritual. So this woman here does not seem to have a ritual. It seems like she's just basically popping the alarm clock and saying, I need 10 more minutes. But if you have a workday startup ritual, you have a ritual that you're going to do every morning, you begin to see patterns and you begin to develop habits that are going to serve you in good stead. So I really recommend that you sit with yourself for a while, and it may take a while to develop these rituals and write them down. Really codify them for yourself. I really recommend this exercise of mapping out your ideal week, because it is important in terms of goal setting. If you're going to achieve your goals, you're going to know when your biggest blocks of time are, and those are the blocks of time that you're going to use to pursue your goals. So if your goal is to get healthy and to perhaps have some sort of a either a weight loss goal or another physical goal, you're going to need time devoted to either taking extra supplements or doing some sort of exercise. I'm going to challenge you. Maybe what you want to do is you want to find a physical trainer that you can work with. That's going to take you some time, and you're going to need to do that in the middle of the day. If, on the other hand, your goal is a doTERRA goal, you're going to need the time to make telephone calls, to connect with people, to host your meetings, to plan things so that you can get these things done for yourself. I've also find it's helpful for me to show my document to my assistant and my family so that we have the same set of expectations, and then they can help me stick with it. This is not a secret, folks. If it's a secret, then you're hiding something that doesn't make sense, because this is a life plan, and we all, most of us at least, live as part of some sort of a community. If you live completely alone, you may still want to show it to somebody so that you have a sense of accountability. In the beginning, it may feel like, oh my gosh, there's so much to put in this document and I don't even know where to put it. Don't worry, do the best you can, and it's going to keep evolving for you. So this is a work in progress. You may not be able to do it all at once. So be easy on yourself. Every quarter is an opportunity for you to evaluate what's working, what's not, and adjust as appropriate. And it's going to help you connect to your goals. You're going to free up larger blocks of time where you can really work towards larger goals. This is a goal-setting Zoom, folks. And so what we're trying to do is give you as many tools as possible, chunk by chunk, to really help you to see, you know what, I don't want to waste time anymore, and I really want to achieve this. And it's also going to help you to grow. I think one of the biggest challenges that we have is we kind of drift. We think that we're using our time wisely, but we're really not. And then we get to the end of the day, or a week, or a month, or even 6 months or a year, and we say, where has the time gone? Okay, I'm still encouraging everybody to write a smarter goal. And if you're not sure what a smarter goal is, you have to go back to some of the earlier videos where we talked about it. And please send it to me. I'd love to see it. Direct message me your goal. You can send it as part of a text message, an email message. You can send a single goal or multiples. I'd love to hear what it is that you're working on. And then you can send it to me through Instagram or Facebook, whatever way you want. But then what I'd like you to do is to go on Elena Yordan on Instagram or Facebook or Oil Camp Alumni and post a comment about what you learned today, and tag more friends. We want to make sure that everybody's learning how to set goals. I talked a little bit about the Lifelong Vitality Pack when I spoke this morning, and I'm going to mention it now. As part of your morning routine, I want to encourage you to really be taking something like the Lifelong Vitality Pack, whether you're taking the Daily Nutrient Pack or these pre-mixed packets. Either one can help you in your goal to become and maintain your health. Okay, last thing is our Wellness Box program. If you go to ElenaYordan.com and you scroll down on the first page, you're going to see a Wellness Box that is calculated to be at least 150 PV. This is the July box, but the boxes are changed every month. And each one is calculated to be at least 150 PV so that you can earn your Power of 3 bonus quickly, and you can help others to do the same. And if you were on Nick's call earlier, you heard me talking about how that's really the first thing that I talk about. I talk about the Power of 3 bonus. Okay, remember, you are amazing, whether you're goal setting or not. You are a rich and beautiful creation, and I'm so happy that I get to meet and speak with all of you today. And thank you for being here, and have a wonderful week. Okay, I'm going to stop the share. And then I'm going to ask for any questions. So let me see if I need to unmute you. I'm going to unmute you. If you're too noisy, then I'll mute you selectively. But does anybody have any questions? This is kind of your opportunity to ask.
This? And this, yes.
Yeah. Any questions?
Should I turn it on?
Hey, Elena, I realized I was unmuted. I apologize for the background noise.
That's okay.
I am really excited to be on tonight. I missed last week just due to poor planning. But it's really encouraging to see your personal workspace come together. And I just wanted to really say thank you for continuing to preach the good message, because it's apparent to me more and more that I used to run away from schedules, but I'm finding myself craving this. So thank you very much. And I'm gonna keep on trying in the midst of a season of a lot of up and down. It's still interesting to me how certain things can fit in and how the scheduling ends up playing out. So thank you so much.
It's also a skill. You are quite welcome. Thank you for saying that. I think it's also a skill that we can teach our children and our grandchildren. It's something that even if they can't make an ideal week, we can begin to help them see. We talk to our kids all the time in school about the seasons of the year. Could they look at an annual calendar, begin to see, okay, these are the things we celebrate, and then break it down to help them to understand what a week would look like, right? Because we want them all to live mindfully, and I think that's an important characteristic that they begin to see, especially kids that are in, say, middle school and above. They can absolutely begin to break down their week and think about, okay, what do I do on Mondays? What do I do on Tuesdays? What does my schedule look like? That's also a wonderful skill for them as they begin to either leave high school and go on to college, because they're going to have to be maintaining their own schedules as they get older. Any other questions? So I'm available via a direct message. You can either contact me on Instagram or Facebook. Some of you have not sent me any goals yet, so I want to make sure you're sending me a goal. For the ones of you who did, I also want to hear, how are you doing? Now, some of you I talk to on a regular basis. How are you doing with your goals? Have you been able to identify them, and what's your next step? So here's my other challenge to you. This particular recording is going to be, Nick asked for me to put it up on his Oils teacher site, so it's going to get a little bigger dissemination. So I'm hoping that next week we'll have even more people. Next week we're going on to week 7. Yes, 7. So we've just passed the half-week mark, if you can believe it. And so if you've been with me from the beginning, you might be thinking, oh my gosh, has that much time gone on? But yes, it has, and don't let the time slip away with you. So if you have no more questions, if there's any last questions, feel free. You can also type it in the chat if you wish. I always try to keep this short because I'm mindful of your time. Okay, so I'm going to say goodbye for this week. Thank you so much for having been with me, and I'm looking forward to hearing from you and hearing about all your goals. Have a wonderful week, everyone. Bye-bye now.